Hey everybody, it's tequila time. So for this episode, we're going to talk about, as I think you can see, we're going to talk about añejos. We're going to talk about what they are, um, how they're aged, how long they're aged, and some of the different brands. And then we're going to probably try a couple. As you see, I have several to pick from. One of them's the same. It's just one's a still no, it's a single barrel. Um, and also at a different proof than its regular counterpart. So we will look at differences even just between those, which would be a blended series or, um, like I said, a single barrel. You'll see some color differences. Um, so we'll start out with, let's just pick one. Um, I'm going to pick off the back and leave the front. So this is an El Tesoro Añejo. It's part of the Mundal collection. Uh, and this happens to be the Knob Creek Rye. So this was aged 12 months in a Knob Creek Rye whiskey barrel. As you can tell, it's almost empty. This is bottle number 2. Um, I really, 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 really liked this one. So did some friends. So we went through the first bottle pretty quick. The second bottle has taken quite a while. I will at some point be getting another one before these completely disappear. They have a new, they had at the same time they released this one, they released one that was aged in a Scotch barrel. I can't pronounce the name, and I haven't had it. So, but they have a new one out for this year that is done in a Basil Hayden barrel. Um, haven't tried it. Might at some point. I like tequila. I like añejos. I like reposados. I just like tequila. So, this one is very tasty. This was also still only at 80 proof. Um, I really like this, and like I said, El Tesoro, yeah, it says for itself. Just Carlos Camarena, no, don't need to go any further. I'm gonna pull something a little different out. You guys have seen me pull some bottles that maybe some people haven't seen. Um, these are pretty prevalent in the Kansas City area. I actually did a tasting with the master distiller owner um, here in town. Got to try all the expressions and the new one, and I haven't gotten the new one yet. It's a high proof Blanco 100 at 110 proof, and it's fruit infused. The So it's the Amatea high proof, and it's called Baracus, if I'm not mistaken. It has really big notes of um, plums, guava, not guava, um, another fruit. I can't think of the name right now. But this is his Añejo Black Label and Amatea. I'm going to give you look at this color. Now, this is just an Añejo at that color. This is an Añejo. There's a big difference. Now, we know that Carlos and Felipe use whiskey barrels, but I don't believe they rechar them. Or if they do, they just toast them. They don't allow the barrel to influence the color. They allow the barrel to influence the flavor. So sometimes the time is shorter in the barrel than it would be otherwise. Another great example of that is going to be the Artenam 1146. Again, look at the color. Look at the color. I'll try to get the light about the same. They are very, very dark. These spend more time. This spends time in a French oak wine cask as well as a bourbon. Again, delicious, delicious. If you like a little smoky, not smoky like mezcal. This is cooked on a open flame, both in the oven and in the pot still with mesquite wood, which gives us a very, very unique and pleasurable flavor. Just, it's a little different. This one, of course, is made by Enrique Fonseca for Nam. It's made at his distillery. This is delicious juice. If you're curious about prices, get on to, like, I hate to say their name, Total Wine, other places that list pricing for these. Um, they vary. This is about $100. This is definitely $100. I think this is about 120 to 130, maybe more. It's been a while, I don't remember. Um, but añejos cost more because they spend longer time in the barrel, which is money that you lose, and not to mention tequila that you lose due to angel share. We'll move on to the next same Camarena family as this. It's Carlos Camarena. We're going to bring out 2 bottles because these are the 2 that I have. And these 2 are both añejos. This is the regular offering añejo, and this is the single barrel. Now, I'm going to put these a little more towards the light. You probably can't quite tell the difference, but this one's just a little bit darker. And there's reasons why. This one's 109 proof. This one's 80 proof, which has water added to it. This one, so it's going to be lighter. Flavor-wise, flavor profile-wise, basically the same, just amplified because of the proof. There's no water added. That's is why a lot of us like still strength or single barrel offerings, no matter what the expression is. These tend to not be watered down to proof. They stay at barrel proof or close to it. Sometimes these come out of the still higher. They do water them down to something reasonable that they can sell. I believe 110 proof is the maximum to stay at tequila. So that's the difference. Overall, flavor profile is about the same. This just goes up to 13, where this is about 8. Both delicious. And as you can tell, I like them because I drink them. I'm not a collector. I have a selection, and I enjoy my selection. There's bottles that I keep back for special occasions. Doesn't make me a collector. I just tend to save those for Christmas, New Year's, maybe a birthday, things of that nature. Special moments in the year, and I try to collect some of these during, get a hold of these and just hold them back for later. And then there's other ones I just can't keep my hands off of them. So another one, and this is a very special one to me, and this is Cascanis Añejo. And as you can see, this is a limited edition, and this is an Agave Social Club pick by Doug Price. This at 100 proof is delicious. It's all over the place. We'll take a little sip of some of these things, and I can give you some notes on them. The next one is kind of an oddball. When this brand first came out, they started doing a few things. Didn't really have a good following. Paladar, it's a good tequila. I think some of the price point just made it go, why am I paying this much for this? But I had a bottle come across, and I've done a video on this, of this añejo, and this is a single barrel añejo. And where are we at proof wise? I done forgot. Yeah, and I still can't find it. But this is a very delicious bottle. This has some very unique tasting notes to it. Very unique. Plums are straightforward. right out, at the beginning of the palate and on the nosing. The aromas coming off of this give you the plums, and they give you something I have never in a tequila was chocolate. I'm going to call it cacao because it's like it's that early chocolate before it's sweetened. It's kind of bitter. It's a little dusty, but it's definitely cacao. If you can get your hands on one of these, which not many people can, and the where I got this one, they're just about sold out. So this one's fairly full. It's going to have to last a while. I already emptied the first one. And last but not least, of what I have for añejos is Fortaleza. And if those with you with Zoom notice that this bottle is unopened, and it's been unopened a while. Um, I had two bottles. I opened one and shared it, and drank it, and shared some more, and drank some more. It ended up being an empty, and I have waited to open this up, and we'll see. I get enough tequila in me, I might open that one up. So, delicious juice, and like most of you know, and those of you that don't, Fortaleza is a very small distillery compared to Ocho, compared to um, Fuenteseca and El Tesoro. Um, they're small. They're small like Cascanes. They're small like Amatea. Um, the Paladar is actually made by Rete. Big distillery. So they do batches, and then they blend those batches. And then some of the batches that are early batches are darker. So we're going to turn this sideways so you can kind of see the color. Now for an añejo, that's about right with some of these other ones, like the Cascanes. It's about the same color. Wish there was more Cascanes in the bottle. It'd be easier to tell. But they're about the same color. But even with Cascanes, and this is a single barrel, some of these do get darker. Some of these get closer to the Paladar color. Now this Paladar bottle is a little bit colored. It's not completely clear, but neither is. I'm going to just put it up there for reference. So these all have color variations, and Fortaleza is known to have how old the barrel is depends on what color the añejo is going to be, what color the reposado is going to be. Um, the newer the barrel to them, the darker the batches are going to be. The later, the second, third fills are definitely going to be lighter. So that's given in that type of environment. But the thing that doesn't change that much is the flavor profile. Those stay consistent because the Blanco is consistent most of the time through. I mean, there's going to be little variations. That's going to happen during fermentation. That's going to happen with how old the agaves are that they're using. We know that artisanal doesn't mean it's going to be perfect every time. And and for distillers to try to make a perfect batch every time, so it's exactly the same bottle to bottle, batch to batch, case to case, barrel to barrel, whatever, is irresponsible. I'm not going to say it's wrong. It's irresponsible. We know that it's not a perfect world, and we know that everything's got a little bit of variance to it, especially in tequila. There's so many variations: terroir, water, how much rain it gets, how much sun it gets. What's the minerality in the soil? What's the minerality in the water? What kind of yeast is it going to have in it to get fermented? All those are variables, and variables are cool. They're cool. They're wonderful. They create different flavors. Um, and then how they're aged, what they're aged in, all makes differences as well. I mean, the Artenam, because I'm not going to say finished, but it's finished in that wine French oak cask. It gives off a different flavor than any of the rest of these. In the last video, we did Yayo with their Hovids, and they used a peach wine barrel and a hard apple cider barrel. Well, those definitely, and I believe they were French oak, imparted a different flavor profile to those than they would to anything else. And so this is where the fun part of tequila comes in. I mean, not saying we don't have that in bourbons and whiskeys and any aged product, any aged distillate. When you age it in a barrel, depending on what that barrel has in it, whether it's staves, whether it's the trying to remember what brand it was, they do a striped barrel. It has white oak, it has cherry and white oak and cherry. I can't think of the name of it. It'll come to me later. But they make these barrels specially to finish their tequila, not tequila, their whiskey. That could happen even in tequila, just to create a different profile. The winter blend for Fortaleza, they usually use 3 different types of barrels and then blend those together. When I did my in bottle aging project using Fortaleza Blanco, regular 80 proof Blanco, I separated that bottle into 3 different bottles and used 3 different aging sticks, 3 different pieces of wood. And I pre-seasoned those in and a couple of them what would be in a barrel if it was made of that wood. The third one was just kind of a toss-up. That's what I had, and it turned out wonderful. Can I grab it without knocking anything off? So this is what I did. This was a full bottle, but this is what I did in my aging project. Now, you want to compare it? Let's compare it. We're going to go exactly to juice, but something that was in bottle aged with 3 different woods versus a bottle that was done with one, basically American oak whiskey barrel. And we'll compare the colors. I got to get it so we can kind of see the colors. They're kind of the same, but without opening this, dang it, I'm gonna have to open it. Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but we'll get to talk about it. This has way more fruit flavors to it, so you can understand where we're going to get different fruit flavors with what different woods and what plants, especially when they're doing natural fermentation. What fruit trees are around? What vegetables are around? Yeah, all those things impart different flavors for each tequila. Um, so finding an añejo that you really like or you really love and enjoy, and enjoying that with friends, and inviting friends over to say, hey, I found this really cool tequila. You want to come over and try it? You don't go sit around and get plastered. I mean, if I wanted to sit around and I had all 8 of these out, and we're going to be 3 sheets of the wind and not be in any, but we take our time and we do little sips and we take some notes, and it's kind of a game, and I want to compare what I get out of it to what you get out of it and what you get out of it. I think that's part of the fun of getting together in groups. Um, all things tequila, we're looking to probably do a bottle share within a small group, and that's fun because everybody brings a bottle. We get to share it. We get to talk about it. Um, and the whole fun part of it is I'll bring something, and somebody else will bring something different, and somebody else brings something, and some of those things maybe I've never tried. Um, my first bottle share, one of the guys that came brought a El Tesoro Paradiso. I believe that's an extra añejo, and it was from Mexico, and it was at Mexico proof at 80. It was either I think it was 38%. But talk about fruit forward. I mean, extremely, like bananas and mangoes. Where does that come from? Well, it comes from the wood, and it comes from the yeast, and it comes from the sweetness of the agave, and some of that comes from the barrel. depending on what barrel is used. So in this whole education moment, um, experiment a little bit. There's some really good and really fairly inexpensive tequilas that you can try as añejos. Um, Simbre makes one that's under $100. Um, Rarete makes one that's under $100. I can't quote them all, but the Paladar is under $100. Um, you know, this is close, or close to at $100. But you got to remember, añejos are going to cost more. So, a definition of añejo: an añejo is a tequila that has been in the barrel at least 1 year or less than 3. Anything over 3, it's considered an extra añejo, and 3 to whenever, because um, Enrique Fonseca, he has stuff in barrels up to 24, 25 years, 28 years. Fortunately, it's French oak, so it doesn't look like coffee or like a really heavy bourbon. Um, and they're still agave forward and extremely fruity. But they're extremely expensive because they've been in those barrels for that long. So insane. There's a budget for añejos for everybody. Suerte has an añejo it's really good, and it's probably I believe it's under $100. Now their extra añejo, which is probably about as dark as these, maybe a little bit darker. Probably I think it's closer to this color. Um, but still it's $130. You have to try it to understand. I never bought a bottle of that. Never have. Um, I did get a sample. I traded a guy some samples for this, for that, and one of the samples that he sent me was a Sorte XA, and it was delicious. It really was. And is it worth about the $129 they're selling it for? Yeah, yes, it is. It really is. I believe it. I believe it's worth that much. It's not local. It's not available to me locally. The bottle I have of Sorte Repo up here, that came in the mail. The only place that I found it close to me was Wichita, and they had Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. They didn't have any XA. XA is kind of, for the longest time, XA. Of course, they were just really breaking out. XA is still in the barrel. It's not ready to go out yet. It's not over a year old yet. So, or over 3 years old yet. I'm sorry. And so it was still in the barrel. And then it just didn't, because it took so long for it to launch, it just didn't take off. People went on to something else. And then there was a lot of it around. But it just didn't make it to the Kansas City market. There's just things that don't. And there's some things that do. And our distributors, it's a business. They have to find, they got to find stuff that stays. I know that in our market, one of the most delicious tequilas that we have, and it's by no fault of anybody, it's just not selling well enough in this market to stay, and so they're going to end up replacing it with something else, which is Wild Common. I love Wild Common. Um, but they're like, again, it's like picking flowers out of a wildflowers out of a field. Which one do you pick first? Which one do you, it's just like, ooh, kid in a candy store. I'm terrible at it, and so it's one of the reasons why I like having a broad selection, because hopefully I've got something. If family or friends come over and we want to try some tequilas, everybody's got a bottle that they like, and if I have something new, we'll try it. It may not fit every flavor profile. My sister's, um, she'll like she'll like the palate. She'll smell it. Smells good. She'll take a taste of it. It's fine, but the finish on it, well, she'll just make that face. And no, that's something she's probably not going to drink again. Now, you put that and make it into a cocktail, that's altogether a different thing. Make her a Paloma with the same one, that little bit of fruit juice, and this, that makes that. I'm not going to sure whether it's the minerality or the anise that comes from tequila is the part that she doesn't like. But then again, she likes the Cascanes Rosa Reposado and Rosa Blanco. She likes the regular Repo, you know, but it has a different flavor profile than some of these others. So, getting thirsty. So, what should we try? Well, I want to do something to start off with. I'm going to put some of these bottles out so I don't knock them over. We're going to compare these two, which is the regular offering and the single barrel side by side. And I'm going to need 2 glasses. One of these, and I've got one right here. I have an oddball, which I don't have the label on it. It's actually listed as a reposado, but if you go by time, not by what it's aged in, it should be an extra añejo. This is how much of this I have left. Now, this beautiful golden color in this wonderful little decanter is El Tequilino Reposado Rare. Broke the cork. I got the decanter for Christmas last year. The rest of the bottle went in here. This is all that's left of it. Um, it was aged a little over 6 years in a papon. Now, if you know what a papon is, of course, they all vary in size, but those are usually not usually and always, your fermentation and holding tanks. And when they're made of wood, they're usually called a papon. Um, so depending on the size of the papon, but when you put tequila into it to age it, it's a huge ass barrel, for not a better word for it. It has to do with the ratio of tequila to wood, and that throws the whole aging process into a curve. So it's aged for a little over 6 years, about 6 and a quarter. How does it become a reposado? Well, because when you do the math of reposado to a conventional barrel that holds like 53 to 56 gallons, I can't remember what that is in liters, so don't. I'm an American. I don't do the metric system that well, except when it comes to booze, and that's only in bottles. Um, that ratio in time wise, when they figured it out, it's like, oh well, it's a reposado. It fits in the reposado category, wood to alcohol. So that's what they did, but it was that was what it was done. So moving on. So we're going to put a little bit of this añejo in this glass. We'll kind of keep these a little sorted. And then we're going to put a little of this one in this glass. I think I got even amounts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set these up on top of here. I want you to be able to see the color now that they're in the glass and not in a bottle. And I'm going to bring these closer up to the camera. So this is the single barrel. I'm going to tilt it a little bit. Try to give you as much color to that as possible so you can see that. And then this is the regular offering at 80 proof. Now we put these up side by side. It's a little more evident that this one right here is darker. So let's give them a little sniff. And right off the bat, I get the cooked agave. I get a floral note. It's just, it's sweet and delicious. And you get this little floral note. Now we move to this one. This is the single barrel at 20. Well, it's 109 proof versus 80 proof. So it's and so this is just more. It's just more. Yeah, floral's right there, right smack you in the face. Cooked agave's there, making my mouth water. So give him a sip. We're starting with 80 proof first. Mm. Oh yeah, it's wonderful. Again, sweet cooked agave, fruit forward. I get a little bit of that floral, the grass. No, I don't say grassy. It's not the right word for it, but it's just coats the mouth nicely. You got a little bit of the pepper at the back. Give her another taste. Mm-hmm. Get a little bit of the baking spices, you know, and this is from the age of the barrel, being in the barrel. You're going to get some of those, but it's very, very pleasant to drink. Just nice little sipper. Especially if you're working your way through, you definitely want to go from a Blanco to a Repo to an Añejo and maybe on to an XA if that's what you want to do. But just kind of just work your way through each brand. That's a really nice way of doing it and finding, you know, and stay within your proof points. Um, don't you can. I'm not saying don't, but if you're doing a drink through to see if you like this brand or if you like certain parts of this brand, stay with the 80 proof. And then when you're done with your basic ones, then step up to the higher proof stuff. The higher proof stuff is going to make the 80 proof stuff taste like water when you're done. You're going to want to stay with the high proof. You're not want to go back. Now, that would be the time that you go eat something, have something else to drink, come back, and then go back to the 80 proof. And then we're back to where we were at square one. So we're still with 80 proof. Got 90 proof over here. Like I said, just wonderful fruit notes. I get a little bit of I'm not going to call it cinnamon. I'm just going to stick with baking spices. I can't quite put my finger on it. But the fruit notes and, the floral aromas. And like I said, it's just easy on the mouth at 80 proof. Wonderful tequila. Thank you, Carlos, and your family. This is good stuff. Now, single barrel. Again, right off the bat, floral notes, cooked agave right up front. You get, yes, I'm getting alcohol fumes on my nose. It's 109 proof. Come on, people. It's not low proof. It's not 120 proof either. But for tequila, this is high proof. And I like it. Mm, wow. Coats the mouth better. Part of the wow. Fruit flavors are just instantaneous. The cooked agave is right there. About mid palate, you get a little bit of the anise. Um, and I don't want to call it black licorice but that's a kind of that feeling. And then the pepper is, of course, by proof is there. You have that heat, and it's just right here. We're not talking 120 something plus Kentucky Hug. We're talking about a Jalisco Hug. It's just warm and inviting. Um, I can't say too. Again, all I can do is just blah about this tequila. My first and only bottle of this. I love it. I wish it was more readily available. Not quite so expensive, but again, it's a single barrel. It's going to be more expensive, um, and being añejo makes it more expensive. But oh my. If you know, if you can't, if you can find somebody that has this at a bar, get a pour. You'll find out what I mean. It's just, it's deliciousness overload. It just is, and there's no way I would mix this with anything else. I'm going to drink it neat. I want to absorb and feel and taste all the flavors and the feelings, things that it does in my mouth that makes this single barrel so enjoyable. Now, I said what the proof was. So everybody is gaga over this bottle. And those of you that know, notice that the neck tag is a little bit different color. Yeah, well, it's a different color because this is the 2024 Puntas at 108 proof. 109, 108. Granted, these are parts of the head and most of the heart. These are the sweetest parts of the first part of the distillate on the second batch, on the second run, that they save usually for themselves. And this was such a hit over the years that Carlos decided to do more runs and use more of this, like a single barrel. Um, Even though this is not aged, pulling that off at the front, and then setting that back to sell by itself as a high proof. Um, these don't even compare. They don't compare. It's not like they took this juice, put it in a barrel. That might be part of it, why we get this proof point, but um, I don't even think they're from the same estates, and I can find that out real quick. No, they're not. This is San Geronimo. This is Miradelis. So, two different fields, so they're not even on the same batch. Actually, this was harvested in 2023 or bottled in 2023 to be sold in 2024. Um, Getting off topic, back to añejos. So, this is the biggest difference between these. So when you get into ones like the Cascanes añejo at 100 proof, the proof point's going to bring those flavors up front. It's going to change because you have less water added to it. It's going to change the mouthfeel. It's going to feel like it coats the mouth more. It's going to feel a little burny. But there's little tricks. By aging it in multiple barrels, you get a better mouthfeel and a sweeter profile by using two different barrels. By changing up how you cook, when you cook, and how long you cook, changes up the flavor profile and the mouthfeel. If I'm not mistaken, this is, which is really hard to read, because most of the writing on here is black. This is right at about, let's see, this is only 42. So it's 84 proof. It's not that higher than, but it just brings those flavors up to the top. The El Tesoro, it's just something different because it's in that rye barrel for that full amount of time. It's not done half in a bourbon barrel and then in a, no, the entire time is done, in the entire 12 months is done in a rye whiskey barrel. Yeah, that's gonna impart barrel notes into that tequila. And I like rye whiskey on occasion. To me, it brings out a lot of fruit through the grains and what it picks up out of the barrel. I have a Knob Creek rye. I believe it's a 7 year at 100 proof. I drop an ice cube or a little bit of water into it, get it down a little bit. I swear I'm tasting grandma's apple pie. I get the cinnamon, the apples out of that whiskey. I get some of that out of this tequila. Some. It's not overly strong because you're getting the cooked agave. That brings in the sweetness and some of that cinnamon type flavor, um, brown sugar flavor, and then you add the rye, the rye out of the barrel notes that come with it, just adds more fruit notes to it. So, peoples, you got to experiment a little bit with your tequila selections. Don't be afraid. Um, like I said, you're not sure. Find some place that gives out samples. Um, go, there's lots of liquor stores that if it's something if something that like they've done a single barrel pick, they probably have something to write samples of. Not all states allow that. We do in Missouri. Um, so there's but go to a bar, find out what they have for Anjeo tequilas. Now, are you going to go to Joe's bar on the corner? Well, not unless Joe is actually Jose and he has a big tequila selection behind his bar. But you go to a Mexican restaurant, you go to a higher end restaurant, they're going to have a broader um, spirit selection. Look and see what they have. Ask. Look, see if they have a back bar menu. Uh, I've mentioned it before. There's a Mexican restaurant or a Hispanic restaurant in Wichita that has a their tequila menu book is this thick. I swear to God, between the tequilas and the mezcals, it's this thick. And you can go through and you can buy a 2 ounce pour for a very reasonable amount of money, and and enjoy that with your meal, after your meal, or during and after your meal. It's a just wonderful place to go. So it's a Cali tequila and tapias. Look them up on the internet. If you're ever in Wichita, go check them out. Food's great, tequila's great. Folks that own it are great people. They try to, they really, really did a really good job. They were buying tequilas before they opened the door to get ready for opening. Uh, from my friend CJ from All Things Tequila, I went there. He's like, "Where's this place? We're going to Wichita." Went there for his birthday. Had a ball. Loved it. It's just so cool that you can get everything from 1800 to Fortaleza. You can get Clase Azul if that's what you want, all the way down to Tequila Ocho or G4 or Arete or Suerte. Get what you like. Experiment a little bit and try something new. That's what I like about it, is trying something new. It just excites me to try something new. I get to try something. Oh, I got to have some of that. Try it. Well, it doesn't quite fit my flavor profile. I'm going to keep it on the back burner and maybe I'll get some later. And sometimes I do, especially when I'm looking for just something different to try and it's within my price range of buying. So, what are we going to try next? Need to try something I haven't had in a while. That could be several of these. And first thing I'm going to do is this one. This is available almost everywhere. I haven't had this open in a while. This is Arte Nam 1146. Probably one of the first añejos ever bought. This is probably like bottle number 4 for me. Um, the first bottle went quick. That's when it was like 75 or $80. Second bottle was a little bit more. Third bottle was a little bit more, and maybe this is the third bottle. Yeah, I think this is the third bottle. This one's taking longer because I've been collecting more añejos. But let's put a little bit in the glass. Give her a little nosing. We'll show you the color in the glass. Look at that beautiful color. You know, in the grand scheme of things, as a añejo, this is very inexpensive. Um, at around $100, and it varies by state. It varies by whatever, but um, this is a very affordable tequila. Yeah, I'm getting grape notes, and that may be psychological to me because I know what it's in. But I get the cooked agave. I get the notes from the wine barrel. You know that those the grape skin. The yeah, I get some of that on there. I get the baking spices. Make my mouth water. It's time for a drink. Mm. Oh, that's good. So you're getting all of those wonderful things you get from an añejo tequila. You get the barrel influence. You get the baking spices. You get the cooked agave. But then with the two different barrels, then you're going to get fruit notes from the French oak. And here's the kicker. This is 80 proof. There's no burn. Granted, I just drank 109 proof. I compare that to this at 80 proof, and there's no burn. Now, that's why there's no burn. I just went from high down to down to a lower proof. But even if this would have been the first tequila I drank, there's going to be next to no burn. There's going to be a little bit of warmth at the back of the throat, and then it just dissipates into just a little bit of heat, and not intense, just heat. And this is a wonderful, wonderful sipping tequila. Probably why the first bottle went so quick. I'd pour some into a glass, go out on the front porch, and light up a small cigar. I can't even do that anymore. Can't stand it. Can't stand the smoke. So anyway, um, again, nice in the price range for what it is. It's a wonderful tequila. Um, so anyway, there's lots of things to pick from, and there's lots of things to taste and enjoy. But to let you know that there's always options. Use your Tequila Matchmaker app to get tasting notes. You know, you guys, the app is free. It's readily available. You load it on your phone. You can go to the liquor store. You can punch it. What is this tequila? If you want to do it faster, do it by the nom. It'll show everything that they make at that distillery, which is great because ones like G4 have several that they do. Um, Vivanco does several. 1414 does Lost Lore. Volans. No, Volans comes out of G4. I'm losing my brain. Yayo, Lost Lore, Viva Mexico. They actually do an Arte Nam bottle. Um, there's I don't know. There's like I don't know 12, 14 different brands that come out of 1414, and Sergio has his hands in every single one of them, which is cool because they all are unique, they all are different, and they all do different things. Um, so again, experiment, enjoy. If you don't like it, give it away as a present. Somebody's going to like it, more than likely. And I'm crazy about tequila. I like having the variety. There's people that I just have to have this. I'm just going to drink Four Laser or nothing at all. Or I'm just going to drink G4 or nothing at all. That's the part of life is variety, and I like variety. So, to all of you out there, have a Merry Christmas. We'll see you after the first of the year. I think this will probably be my last video. If I do another one before Christmas, I have an idea what it's going to be. Um, I have a package coming. I was hoping it was going to show up today, but we may leave this for end of next week. As much tequila videos as I watch, there's only so many to watch in a week, in a month. So I get bored and I switch over to some of the bourbon channels. And one of the bourbon channels that I like is Bourbon Real Talk. And they kind of go outside the parameters a little bit. And um, the guy who does that, I right now can't think of his name, but I know he's one of the major owners in Prideful Goat. Um, went on vacation with his wife. They went to Mexico. They ended up in Tequila. Where did they go? They went to Fortaleza. He was told, oh, you gotta go try the Pappy tequila. And Guillermo will be the first one. I don't want to be the Pappy. I don't even want to be the Pappy. But his reputation preceded him. And so they went down and they visited Guillermo and they got to try everything. And they had a little giveaway. And that little giveaway was 5 samples of bottles that he brought back from Mexico. And I believe it's a mix of Los Abuelos bottles and Fortaleza bottles, which doesn't matter. It's the same juice. But we have everything from the Blanco, Reposado, and Yeho, still strength. And there's a sample of 2024 Winter Blend. So that will be probably my final video for the year. Then we'll catch you back after the first of the year, see what I've accumulated over Christmas. Hopefully, some good stuff. And if not, we'll be doing some other stuff with what I have and the little acquisitions I get along the way. So, salute to all of you. We'll see you next week. And remember, it's always tequila time. Mm-mm-mm.